a technique I like using a lot, not necessarily so much for a finish, but it may end up in a finish, but more typically to get a little space so that I can get better position and hopefully get out of that front headlock or that head and arm position, is a wrist lock. And what I'm trying to, as soon as Colby comes in here, what I'm going to try to do this time is I'm going to try to change the angle here on us. I put his wrist between my abdomen and my chest right here. So right as he's coming, I'm going to come to this position here, and I can come to here. Right as he's trying to grab that. You'll notice when Colby comes in, I don't want him to get a good grip and to grab that lock. So what I want to do is I want to defend against that. So Colby comes in here, and you'll notice I keep my elbow back. We're hand fighting here. I'm not just going to let him get this lock. When Colby comes on me and pops my head down here, and I keep this elbow back, I'm going to be hand fighting because it's a lot easier for me to try a drag, etc., when he doesn't have a secure lock than when he's really tightened up on me. Okay? So as he's going for his position, I'm hand fighting. Again, my elbows are always back. I'm hand fighting. As he's trying to secure that lock, I find this a technique that's useful. He pops my head down, I block, I push here, I try to get a bit of an angle. It's harder from here, whereas if I get a bit of an angle, I find myself in a little bit better position. In other words, facing the arm that I'm attacking. Now, reality is that you're probably not going to finish somebody with that. But it's very uncomfortable, and frequently I can get enough of a response as they try to make some space. Again, I'm tightening things up. If they try to make space, that provides space for them to let loose of the grip that I have on them. Simultaneously, that also provides me some space to get out. So he's popped me down here. I keep my elbows back. From here, he's going away. And I can retreat quickly. And certainly I'm in much better position than I was just a moment ago. So again, reality is that I'm probably not going to finish people with that type of technique, but it is something that you can utilize to get some space to be able to back out or to perhaps drag. Okay, or follow up with another technique. Once more, Colby comes in. Again, I keep my wrist and my elbow back. I'm not just going to hang here and let him get a great grip on me. When he pulls me down, that's the fight's just begun here. Notice he's coming through. I'm going to push this way. I'm going to face it slightly, and I come down here. If I can, I actually want to get it a little higher here. Now, if he pushes away, then I retreat very quickly, get up to my feet or to my knees to where at least we're in a relatively neutral position. Demonstrating the basic grip again. Colby comes in here. I'm going to block right away. And notice, it's a lot easier for me not to have to push it all the way back, but to block it right as it's coming through. I block it right at the wrist, put it here between my abdomen and my chest. I get a slight angle, and I come to the lower part of the tricep. Notice, I keep my elbows in. My elbows are out. He's got a lot more give and play here. So I keep my elbows in, and I try to finish it here. And I'll kind of push my hips in a little bit too. A position that's not head and arm position, but that does come up from the perspective of your opponent having tugged you down to the mat, is when they have both arms over your arms. As in the defensive tape, anytime Colby can lock around here, keep my elbows forward, squish me down, look if I've had a single. He's in good shape. There's a point here now. My arms are forward, my elbows are ahead of my head here, as opposed to back here, which is where I'd prefer them. But Colby really has got me in a good grip here. I haven't been able to get bull my neck. He's pulled me forward and down. What I'm going to do from this position is I'm going to come up. Notice, there's no way I can come up with my head and my upper body. He's just got me so tight here. This part of me is just stuck down. But I can get my butt up. And I can come up on all fours, not real narrow where I'm not going to have much lateral stability here. And then what I want to do, because he's going to keep tugging me down to the mat, I want to post as best I can. I'm not going to last here for more than a second or a couple seconds or two. what I want to do is I'm going to hit one side like this, and I want to rotate. As soon as I feel a reaction here, I'm going to rotate the other side. And my head comes up. And then I'm going to come around. Colby has got me in a good position here. This isn't head and arm here. This is over both. And when you have over both, the principles are the same. I want to keep Colby's shoulders forward, his arms forward. If his arms are back, notice this isn't nearly as good a position here as, and notice how much room he has to pop out here, as if I can get to this position here. Notice his shoulders are pointed, or his arms are pointed past here, past this 90-degree mark. As it goes behind this 90-degree mark here, he's in much better position. As I can get his arms forward, he's in much worse position. At this point, there is no way Colby is going to pull his head up, okay, especially if I've been pulling him forward. But there's no weight over his butt. He can pop that up, come up on that, in that position here. And that's the route I'm going to take. You know, naturally, whoever's got that lock, you know, has much better position, no doubt about that. This is pretty much last-ditch type technique. But it's something I can consider doing, especially when you're kind of wet and slippery towards the end of a match and both people are kind of fatigued. So Colby has me in this position here. He's pulled me forward. I'm in bad position. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to hit one side, and as soon as I feel pressure, and I'm not going to really wait until I feel pressure, I'm going to presume he's going to respond to that, because he's going to be really tugging me down hard. And at that point, notice his weight went forward. I faked one side so he turned down, and I ducked out the other side. Notice my head is up, my hips are down, then I hip heist around behind. Colby's pulled me forward, and he's got me in a good position. There's just no way I can lift up here. He's got my elbows forward. I'm stuck. I'm going to come up to here. If I can come up to here, this is much better. My butt is up. I'm going to hit here hard, and then to this position, and then I'm going to sit through. The harder your opponent is tugging you and pulling you forward, the harder they're going to go down. Okay? If they just kind of got a little loose, limp grip on you, actually this technique is more difficult to do at that point. But if the grip isn't that strong, you should be able to hand fight to get out. But if your opponent is really tight on you, can't lift your head up, you can lift your butt up and push in. You're going to fake to one side hard. Notice I put my hip down, I torque, I'm going to get a reaction. He's going to try, he's thinking I'm peeking out this way. And then I'm going to peek out the other way. My head is up, my hips are down, and from that position, I'm going to turn around right away. His head is probably going to be coming down at an angle towards the mat. So I peek out one way as a feint hard to get a good response, and immediately shift back to the other side. And I'm not going to wait for that. I'm going to presume, as you practice this technique, you just presume that's how your opponent's going to respond, at least if they're a skilled athlete. They're going to respond in that way. One aspect of this move that'll help you is when I'm up in this position, Colby's pulling me forward, and you'll notice too I've got an angle. If I'm like this, Colby pulls me forward, I'm down. So I need to be at an angle. Obviously too though, if I'm too far forward, he just pushes down on me straight. I'm crushed. So I can't tell you where that is, you just got to figure that out, but there's a point where I can feel as he's pulling me, it's along this axis, so I can at least maintain a little stability momentarily. Now I want you to watch. When I faked one side here, notice I fake upward with my elbow. Notice though when I sit here, when I sit through, and my head pops up, this isn't a lazy elbow here like this. The elbow comes back. The elbow is going to help push him forward, or the tricep is going to help push him forward as I peek through. So the elbow helps me get a little bit of a response. So I'm not just trying to duck my head here again with a lazy elbow here. I'm going to pop this up a little bit to get a response. Notice this elbow now. Okay? I come back, and then I'm going to hip heist. Naturally, if his lock is behind here, as I'm sitting through, if I just sit through, that gives me a certain amount of advantage mechanically. But if I sit through, I push this way. If his arm is here, that's going to launch his upper body forward and down.